Hello. Why, hello there. Welcome along to my first ever monthly business review. Monthly business review. So these are a follow-on from what I used to do in my corporate job, and I was 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence, and my last company for 8 years was working at Amazon. And in Amazon we would do monthly business reviews, and a shout out to another ex-Amazonian, Tom Summerscales. Thank you for reminding me that it's a great idea to still review your business once a month. Now I didn't do one in June, and I didn't do one in well, I haven't done July yet. It's just the 1st of August today. Woohoo! So I wanted to take this time out to reflect on the first 2 months of running my own business. And I also wanted to do it in this format. So previously what we would do is write down everything and spend a lot of time really focusing on the words and being able to clearly articulate our journey. And this time, now that I've promoted myself to founding my own company, and although I'm working for myself, I'm a sole trader with a single company called Heart Centered Wellness Limited, that business is all about the feeling as well. So I don't want this just to be about the focus on money, or the kind of milestone bullet achievements. It's not just about the work. The work is just one small part of my life. And so I want this to be a monthly business review for yes, the focus is work and business related, but it's also about how it feels. Is it sustainable? Am I enjoying it? All these different things. So let me start with, so I'm going to cover 3-4 subjects. We'll see how I get through them within a reasonable amount of time. And the first is what's gone well. Second is what have I learned. What do I feel I want to continue to improve on, and then what's coming up next. That's 4 things, right? Roughly in that order. So let me start with all the things that have gone well. Well, as of the 31st of May, I created my own company. So that was registered with Companies House, and I started the journey of getting all my finances set up, so my business banking account, getting everything transferred over. Prior to this I was just paying for all myself, so now I need the business itself to pay for my Zoom video conferencing payments each month. I have costs for MailChimp, which I use for my weekly newsletters. I have the website provider Wix, and although I do all the website development myself, and the hosting of the website, obviously the features of the content management system, they're all needed too. And in June is very much about getting everything set up and also exploring, and the themes of exploring continued into July and also continue on. And by exploring I mean trying out different products, trying different things. But if I look back in June, got all the finances initially set up so that at least money can come in, and that I can pay the costs for running the business and start to get a feel for how I'll work out how to do these things over time. More to come on that. And then what other things did I achieve in June? So I also managed to make good progress on the creation of the intermediate, so the higher self intermediate foundational training. So that's the second training course. So there's foundational and intermediate. And intermediate is much more advanced in teaching my clients, and so it also required a lot more effort in terms of and also I feel like an increase in the amount of quality that was required. And then I had also been running reflexology. So let's look at the three areas of the business. For my mind, or your mind, or everyone's minds, the mindfulness teaching work, that was really focused on the new podcast, Mindfulness Leadership podcast, which I run with Natasha, and that's been going really well. It's really, really enjoyable, and we've had some incredible guests so far. And although it doesn't bring in directly any money yet, and there is some costs, it is currently the strongest work I'm doing for mindfulness meditations, and yeah, that feels good. And that continued on through June and July. For body, so clinical reflexology, in May I literally just wrapped up the course, and for clinical reflexology, so that diploma, and I got a merit in physiology and a distinction in the reflexology module. So there's 2 modules to that diploma. So excited about that, and just feel overwhelmed with happiness. And I was also running sessions at the Life Academy Wellbeing Centre in Morningside in Edinburgh, the city near where I live, and those had kicked off pretty well. I'd do like a Monday for about 4 hours each week, and I got experience of taking on clients to my own place, all the setup instructions, all the things I needed on the website to be able to book, and turning over a room both for the setup and takedown when I was renting it, but then also in between clients. So that was really valuable, and it was amazing to have some follow-on clients from the hospice where I'd had a placement prior to that, and it helped me explore the different things that I would enjoy doing. And I do enjoy doing treatments in a room, in a rented room. I think I'll come on to the lessons learned and areas for growth. And I also set up doing mobile treatments, and I blended for the first time, and this was really exciting. I blended for the first time clinical reflexology and what I called it the psychic reflexologist service, and that was an integration of psychic reading, quantum energy healing, and clinical reflexology. And across those 3 modalities, in the same hour or hour and 30-minute session, just get so much detail, which was just incredible. And it was a service that my customers asked for, and I was shy doing it. I felt a bit worried about, especially the word psychic. I feel is very triggering for me and probably for others. And so that was really exciting that it that it took off in June. And then I also started exploring other venues, and I was looking for a venue to do clinical reflexology treatments and my other services in person, where it was probably part of a clinic doing other services, whether it was beauty, wellness, mindfulness, what complementary therapies, whatever went on in that place, that it was more supportive of bringing on more business, because I did have gaps in June and then into July where I was renting a room for half a day at about £29 for the 4 hours, and then not filling it with clients. And I knew that I needed to advertise more, and I knew that it needed to be in person, but I didn't feel invested in doing that in Edinburgh, in Morningside, because I felt like it's too far away from me. It's about just over an hour's drive each way, plus there's parking costs. And I could have done that. It was a nice place. A lot of my clients enjoyed it. But yeah, it felt like that would be too much. And then for your spirit, your soul, mind, body, and soul. So for soul, my quantum energy healing work, I think, started quite quiet in June, maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks. Now, I'm not sure what time I started doing this, but the biggest shift was finally listening to my intuition, my guides, and starting to do like regular live streams. And I had gone from a place of, whenever I just turned on like if I just pressed live, like, on a social media platform, sometimes no one would come. Quite often there would be no one there. And I thought, well, there was definitely some kind of trauma around that. It's like, well, how can I build a business for the future of me and my family if there's no one there? So one thing I did was I just added a bit of hype to it. So I included some messaging in my weekly newsletter. I created a little RSVP system so you could like get it added to the event itself, the live stream and I chose YouTube. So I've had the longest following there for many years. And so you could like get it added to your calendar so you wouldn't forget. And then I also felt like YouTube's great for long lives. I feel a lot of my customers feel more comfortable there. TikTok, for example, is probably the second preferred, but it can be a bit of a jungle, especially an energetic jungle, and lots of random people turning up. Random people are good, but the wrong random people who are just not really interested or engaged in what you're doing aren't, as helpful. So as soon as I kicked off that, I went from those live streams. So I decided to do a Thursday initially, and then there was so much demand, a Tuesday and a Thursday. And to be honest, there's more demand than I'm currently fulfilling. And in a live stream, I'll do like 10-minute readings or healings or clearings for people. Is it 10 minutes? Probably between 5 and 10 minutes, because I can do 10 to 13. I think the most I've done is about 13 per hour. It's not about speed, right? But it's just an indication. So yeah, as soon as I listened to my the guidance I was being given, I started to get a lot of interest from people. So things went from having maybe one session in a week, and sometimes a week with no sessions, to a session every day or multiple sessions every day. And these are 1 hour and 30 minutes sessions, and people were booking them quite short notice, like maybe 2 or 3 days. And then often what happened is they'd see me in a live stream. I do like a kind of mini thing, and it's for free but also donation based. So if someone likes what they experience, they can donate. And that went on and generated a lot more interest. I think there was, from a business perspective, this is through June and July, the really amazing thing is, first of all, finding a way I wanted to increase my people call it like your sales funnel, right? Like reach lots more new people. And I know that as part of that, it's also like the number of people and the people themselves that I'm ready for. Like everything's set up so I can, do it with fun and fabulous fun and flow and freedom. I was saying in a meditation recently. And yeah, that increase in live streams, went to Tuesday to Thursday, and then the increase in new customers. I think that was the other big change, is it wasn't just existing customers who are just amazing too. And I love, retaining customers for years. Like it's so exciting because they're my friends, as much as they are customers. And I feel like that's a really healthy way. Of course you have to have boundaries, and you have to, be sustainable, but I feel like the respect I give to my customers is absolutely, including, being mindful of too many sales pitches, even when you need the money. So yeah, I feel like that was a game changer. Also, in July, I finished the creation of the Higher Self Intermediate training. That was quite tough because I was doing a lot of sessions at the same time, and I think I had something about like, I don't really know, maybe between 8 to 10 days of like quite long days, maybe 10-hour days. So maybe something like 80 to 100 hours of coursework development. And this is the training material, the videos, figuring out what you do in workshops, creating, the training tasks, doing all the website work. It was a lot of work, and some people might look at that and go, actually, that's not much work, John. And it's true in some respects. Like, I feel like actually the coursework is relatively lightweight, but the depth that I teach at is very, very deep, and like it touches people's souls, right? And I know that after my training courses, after 8 weeks, people need an integration time. They need time for the knowledge and the healing, and the shift in themselves to kind of settle in. So where was I? So yeah, with training, that was developed, and the higher self foundational training kicked off again. So I managed to fill. It was quite interesting. I didn't do a huge amount of advertising. I did change the way I advertised. Previously, I've been, people had suggested to me that, or mentors had suggested I do things like, do a daily post about your new thing that's coming, and do it for like 2 to 3 weeks before you launch a course or a new service. I found that just too intense, like too much overkill. There is a right balance though, and everyone has the right balance. And it was useful for me to have done that in the past. I think I maybe did that closer in January. But now I felt like there was the right balance. There was, especially now that my live streams had picked up, so I could, at least twice a week, I was in front of a new audience saying my training course is coming up. And yeah, I got some great sign-ups for that. And the class are just amazing. Hello to you if you're watching, for the Higher Self Foundational Training. And yeah, the Higher Self Intermediate Training course starts on Sunday. So that's incredible. There's more, right? I could talk forever. We're at 17 minutes. And there's a lot more I could share about the business side that have gone well. I feel the single biggest achievement overall, and this cannot be underestimated, right, is having left a corporate job where my salary was multi-six-figure pounds sterling, to have shifted from that to, my wife and I did a lot of work, redoing our finances. We sold our holiday house, we sold our car. We focused on anything that, it's not about the money first, it was about the energy. So we wanted to rationalize and consolidate all of our focus of our energy each week. And yes, the money is a factor, because things like this, for example, I didn't really expect to sell our car we got about £4,000 on WeBuyAnyCar.com, which actually was more than I expected. But yeah, it's about focusing our energy on the things that really matter. And that whole shift suddenly, and where am I now? I'm in a camper van, right? As much as I would actually love to live, or at least live for weeks and months on end in the camper van, we still very much have a home, a 4-bedroom home, and it's beautiful. But yeah, the biggest thing I'm getting to is that it feels sustainable. It feels like I'm building a business that already is successful, and that what we've done in June and July is we've been away. We went to Scarborough for 5 nights with our caravan and our camp. That's our camper van I'm in, and then the caravan that it tows is just behind us. We're there for 5 nights, and then we also went to over near Glasgow to Strathclyde Country Park for, I think, 4 nights. And that was only after like a week or a week and a half gap or something. And now a couple of weeks later, we're back out camping, and now we're down near Amble in Northumberland for 4 nights. It's just that feeling, and to actually come away and to feel like I can, relax a little bit from my business, because I worked really hard, especially the kind of last 10 days up to it. I didn't really have a day off. I was just like back to back sessions and training, and to be able to do this, first of all, like, I don't have a boss that's going to tell me that I can or can't go on holiday, or where I can work from. And I'm continually optimizing for things like being more self-sufficient. So having a camper van is amazing. I can go to different places. I can work from different places. It's amazing as an office. I also sometimes do client sessions in it as well. So that feeling is incredible. And whilst I'm not going to go into the details of the finances, I would say how it. Oh, and I do, by the way, in my Higher Self membership group, which continues to grow. That was another great positive. Thank you for everyone that's joining. In that, I do share some of my very deepest personal vlogs. I do. You think I create a lot on social media? I also do a lot offline as well, and it's often quite long videos, like an hour or so of me, really diving into detail. And I did do one on our myself, my family's finances. So if you're curious about any of these things, you've got to sign up for my membership and find out more. And this is, I feel like when I meet up again with people that I know from a previous, career, they're fascinated about the money, of course. Like they want to know, how did it become sustainable? How is my life, or how is it becoming, financially viable? And I would summarize June as more than I expected. So the numbers that came in June, whilst I won't share them, they are something like, it's about what I took 3 years as a hobby to bring in my first month. And yes, it was profitable in the first month. And then in July, I think some of the numbers were something like 68% increase in sales into June. And some of the single biggest drivers for that is me leaving that previous job, because doing both was so difficult. Like, you can't run your business well if you've got some, maybe it's okay, maybe, but like half my effort was going into my corporate job. Well, it's more than half. I was working like 30 hours in a 30 to sometimes as much as 40 hours in a 3-day week in my corporate job, and I've been part-time for 2 years. But it was a lot of energy, a lot of focus, and I had anxiety about the next week in between each week. So that was a lot. The anxiety was a energetic cost as well, right? So in July, yeah, I don't know the final numbers yet, because that the money's still trickling in from what I've sold, but it was a big leap. It was over 100% increase on June, and my guess is probably a 200% increase on June, which is fabulous. And July already, so just in the first 2 months of trading, starts to show signs that that it's absolutely viable, like, to do as a career. I feel like to not have to rely on any savings, it will still need to continue to increase, but the but it doesn't need to increase 100% or 200% every month. That it'll just gradually increase, at the right pace. And that was a really beautiful reflection. I was talked a lot with my wife about, what I'm charging for my services, and the rate at which I both work and do my sales. There's definitely a balance to that, because I could push really hard to sell, and yet all of this has got to be a balance, a work-life balance. It's got to feel good, and for you, my customers, because everyone's a potential customer in the world, I don't want to just like have these really excessive prices that seem inaccessible, and I always want to have some sort of free offering, or free or low cost, like really low cost offering. So like my YouTube sessions, where if someone just doesn't have any possibility of financially being able to pay for anything, but would really benefit from what I can give them, then at very least they can come along and get a 10-minute healing from me, or reading. So yeah, that was really important. So right now, how it feels for me, and this is as much a journal for John, is that it feels for me in July, it turned a corner where I could go on holiday, on vacation for the last, it's been 2 days, we've got another 2 days left, and I don't feel guilty about money not coming in. And in fact, the way the universe works, right? It's like, the more you can demonstrate to the universe, a bit like a bank, that you don't need, to push so hard for sales from your customers, that things come in. And I think certainly in the last couple of days off I've had, hundreds of pounds have come in, which is fantastic. So thank you for your orders while I'm on vacation. It's fantastic. Have I been doing work on vacation? Yes, I've done. So at the moment, just like now, I don't have a clock, but it's something like, I just come out for 9 a.m. My family are still busy sleeping. I've been out for my 6 a.m. run, slept until 6, usually get up at 5, and I went for a beautiful run in the countryside here, which was just stunning. And you could argue this is work, right? But I felt like I really wanted to, in part, journal this moment, but also share with others, to inspire you if you're worried or thinking about, going, like leaving your corporate or otherwise job and doing the thing you love full time. What else would I say? Yeah, about the feeling. I've done some work, maybe an hour each day or something. And it's just keeping things, like I've got a training course that kicks off on Sunday, and I'll do probably an hour's work today to make sure everything's set up and running. I don't need a lot of internet to do it. I don't need a lot of concentration. I created like a checklist for me to work through, so I can be watching TV or even chatting with people as I'm doing it, and that helps me, be successful and consistent with what I'm doing. Okay, it took 30 minutes to talk about all the positives, but yeah, I thought that was really important. Like, if you got this far and you're interested in, traversing, like transforming your life from your full-time role or part-time role in a salaried position, you want to start your own job, then I would love to mentor you. And I've already been creating material for it in my intermediate training course, and I may break it out. At some point I'll break it out into a separate service, but you can literally just book me for one-to-one mentoring sessions, and I will mentor you on how to do this. But it took me 2 years to overcome my fears of leaving my salaried job, and then since December last year, in earnest, like really making the plans, getting a mindfulness teaching qualification, reflexology qualification, figuring out the different services I would offer, how I would work, sorting out all the personal finances. Like, it's a huge shift, and feels amazing. And excuse me. So let's talk about what I learned, and I'm sure I'll go into the growth areas. What I learned was, like, the lessons learned in June, I would say that I learned how flexible my working pattern can be, because I just get to choose to do what I want. I'm sure in June I just decided to stay in bed a couple of mornings because I could staying in bed, not getting up at 5, getting up at 8. Ooh, it's so late, John. But that was a big thing for me. Having like that freedom and flexibility, I really love that, and it's a feeling, right? And to be able to listen to my body. I also, in July, started to see that when my work was quite intense. So, for instance, if you book me for an hour and 30-minute session, I will do some preparation prior to it. Not all the time, but I will. If I've got time, I'll reach out to the client and just check in with them, just thank them for the booking, make sure they're okay with the time zone. They've done it all automatically on the website anyway. And then I do some energy clearing on myself prior to the session, make sure I'm prepared. So I have a gap of at least 30 minutes, and I'll do some grounding, like walk barefoot in the grass, etc. And then I also, after the session, which is an hour and a half, and there were some sessions that really overran, and we'll come into that in the areas for growth, but the vast majority of them are like an hour and 30 minutes, and then afterwards I have at least a 30-minute gap to spiritually, mentally, physically recover, and then I spend up to an hour writing up the notes for someone, and that's got a lot quicker. I've got a lot better at doing that, and I created a template which really speeded things up. That was definitely a win. But it's a lot, right? You could be, let me think, for an hour and a half session plus 30 minutes either side is 2.5 hours, plus an hour is 3.5 hours. So it's a lot of effort. And what I found was that I always, like, my service level agreement with myself is to do it same day. And so some session I was doing late at night, and one night last week, I was up till midnight because the session ran so late, and then I went and did their write-up as well. So these are all really important aspects of the work-life balance that I'm learning to. That's definitely a learning for me, is like to be able to pace myself. And I have got better. There was definitely more times where I was finishing maybe 5 or 6, or I just take my working pattern, like taking Friday afternoons off, spending time with the family. That's been really good. So there's definitely been intense bursts, but then I've also had these 3 weeks of holiday in the last 2 months. So that feels good, but it's about being sustainable. I also cleared out my office, and I learned that, so my home office, transformed that and I asked my wife to be my interior designer, and just because she's way better than me at it, and it's beautiful. It's just a lovely space. In fact, I didn't take my camper van down to the beach because it was just so beautiful in July, so I was really happy being able to use that space. And so I learned that it's really important to have a great space. What else did I learn? That I created a second website, my Heart-Centered Wellness Limited website, which is very much a kind of just a pure clinical reflexology website, more kind of health and beauty vibe to it. And I learned that I think I've only had one booking through it, and I learned that, I don't know, that it was a huge investment, but it's probably not. It's not where I'm making my money is on the clinical reflexology alone. But it did teach me that I can definitely raise the standards of the quality of my my current website. I mean, it's more than a website, right? It's like a training platform. It's a membership platform. It does all my customers, my billing, my customer contacts, my billing. Like, it just does everything. Everything business-wise is there. So creating that separate website, which I did in a very, very long day, one day, which was intense, it taught me a lot about how to do it better. And I definitely consider now, as I continue to develop my current website, I keep reflecting on, one day I'll make a new version of it, and it helps me think about rationalizing it. I also learned to keep simplifying my training and my services, because my clients get easily confused with what I'm offering. I think the first thing that they found confusing was I had many services. Probably on my website I've developed 30 or so services. And so now what I do is I have this like regular, at least weekly, I'm looking at all the services and asking myself, who's booked these? Who's asking for these? When did that happen? And just moving. So I have a kind of like a departure lounge, if you like. It's like other services tab, and so I move them into that tab if they're not really being picked up on. And then when there's just no activity, I disable them. Now the cool thing is for me is they're still all set up in my website, but they're hidden. And if someone asks for the service, I can just turn it back on. And I might even create like a separate page that just has all these different random services, the graveyard of services that people can browse, because some people are fascinated by them. And if you're interested in that, graveyard sounds like a terrible thing, but maybe like a library or an archive of these, if you're interested in that, let me know. What else? There's so much I learned. Finances was a big thing, so I decided to change my finance company. Thank you so much to the company that got me up and running, but it wasn't the right service for me, and I personally need to learn a lot about corporation tax and whether you can charge things for expenses like your business fuel, business trips and the fuel for them, like all these things. I've just got so many questions, and so I moved over to a company starting now into August, who'll help me with that. So big thanks to the company that I used previously, and wish you all the best. And I'm excited to really get into more detail myself and learn more about how to do all this, how to do the accounting. And basically the way it works is that I have a business account, and everything comes in and out of that. My payment providers are Stripe and PayPal, and so between those two, the money goes in, and then I do like a monthly reconciliation, or what do you call it, bookkeeping. So find out where all the money went, predict what tax should be paid for that, and that's just as a business. So the business is like it's a separate entity to me personally, and then the decision about when to take money from the business to pay me and my family, which I haven't done yet, that all needs like figured out. And there might be like lots of different ways of doing it, of receiving money from the company. So that's exciting to learn more and investigate the options. What else? What else have I learned? So much. I'm sure some will come up in the areas for growth. So areas for growth, I would say getting, like I touched on it a little bit, but getting the right balance of, sometimes I have perfectionism behaviors, sometimes I connect my self-worth with my productivity or like completion of tasks, and sometimes I'm resistant to or a bit slow to follow my intuition and guidance. So for example, the live streams I put off for weeks and yet all I had was like my intuition saying, John, you've got to do this, it's going to be a big thing for you. And there was maybe a moment of, towards, when was it? And it was in June, but I'm not sure if it was the first couple of weeks, second couple of weeks, where I just felt like not a lot's happening. In fact, yeah, I do remember now, it was towards the end of June that things hadn't, I think it was that when I just started the live streams. Um, but yeah, it felt like, how's this going? You know, what's going to be the next thing that that takes my business forwards and turns it from a hobby into like a viable business. And so just being going more with the flow. One of my dear clients and friends, Chloe, she'd posted on her stories about, you know, this message about going with the flow, and that's very powerful for me. Like following my intuition and going with that. I also didn't mention that. Yeah, what didn't go well so much was the Life Academy well-being rooms, because I wasn't really advertising it, and I took a decision for something like 2 to 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks, where I paid £29, which is, you know, it's a lot of money, to then to you know, to not invest the time in driving out. You know, it's like probably around £10 to £15 on fuel each way, plus sorry, total, not each way, and then parking was about £15. So even just to turn up without any clients is a lot of money. So I did. I have put forwards a proposal for me to do to move to a place called Naked Revive, or Naked.Revive in Haddington, which is a nearby town. So that will happen later in August, and excited for that to kick off 1 to 2 days a week, and just getting that right balance. It'll start with a focus on clinical reflexology, but also expand out to my other services, so that's exciting. What else could have gone better? Sometimes just rabbit holing, you know. I feel that's been a big thing. Like, it was yesterday's meditation, or the day before? It's like rabbit holes are really helpful, you know, diving deep into certain questions. The problem is when you're, you know, often I find myself, when I was in periods of doubt, of greatest periods of self-doubt, and that's a growth error, right? Is that I'd end up like tweaking things in the website. It's almost like, you know, you're sharpening your knives as a chef and getting ready to cook, but actually what you need to do is get more customers in, and that shift did happen in me. I remember I like updated my to-do list, and I kind of just brainstormed some ideas, because it's very, I also had this realization, like, don't rely on algorithms. Why would you delegate your business and your future to a bunch of algorithms that other people develop primarily for advertising reasons? They're not really interested in your business, and they're especially not interested if you're making money outside of their social media platform. And so I did put more effort into my weekly newsletters and improved the formatting. I have a template now I follow, and I saw the engagements increased from about maybe 20-30% of the people that I send it to are reading it. It's gone up to 40+%, which is fantastic. And that, by reading it, I mean, and I don't really track the numbers after the first maybe, you know, day, but that's been fantastic. And not everyone checks their emails every day. Shock horror. What else did I learn? Yeah, I think where I had problems, like with the previous finance company that I was using, you know, for my accounts, there was just a mismatch. It wasn't the service really that I needed, and I don't think they really knew. I don't think either of us knew that until like I tried it, and that I probably knew a few weeks earlier. And that's like in areas like, you know, taking action faster. That would help. So yeah, if anything else pops up, I'll let you know. What's coming up next? There's so much. So there's been so much demand for the Higher Self Foundational Training course that I'm going to advertise, and if I get enough people, so I just need four people to have enough people to run a course. And so I would kick that off. I'll kick it off next week, like the advertising, and I already have a wait list for it. And I describe the people that are asking to join the training, like they're really, really hungry for it. They really want the course to happen. And they've been saying, things like, oh, I really hope the course will happen this year. Otherwise it's scheduled in January 2025. So it's just really beautiful, it's a feeling of when people really, really want the thing that you're offering, that you feel like you're definitely in alignment. And that the people that are asking for it, you can see that they are multi-month, multi-year customers and friends, and that's really powerful. So that's kicking off. I've got a bit more like setting up my finances to do over the couple of weeks. I'll be going into Naked Revive to do in-person sessions, and that's just really beautiful. I have been doing more in-person quantum healing sessions for your soul, and so that's been fantastic to do, and I'm sure I'll be doing more of those. In fact, another success was that a client had bought multiple sessions, and although I've done multiple sessions for clients, I started offering it as a block. You could get a discount. What was it, by is it three for the price of two? Three for the price of two, and then like for my mentoring, 6 for the price of 5, 4 for the price of 3. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, along those lines. And I will be doing more live streams. Definitely keep up with those. Definitely consider like doing like ad hoc, trying either more or like a cadence that works. I also invested in like a Chromebook. Really, it was only £150, which my business paid for, and I'm going to use that for taking notes from client sessions. It uses very little power, so it's fantastic for the camper van. It's real light, so I can like take it anywhere. Because I would say more than I expected, I need to go into my website and tweak things, or things that so much I can do on my phone, but some things that are really important I can't. So that's super handy. And what else is coming up? Yeah, the Higher Self Foundational Training, kicking off the Higher Self Intermediate Training on Sunday for 8 weeks. So that's just really exciting to take people through Naked Revive. I mean, it's more than enough, right? But yeah, when I reflect back on what happened in June and July, just an incredible start, like way beyond both the experiences, going on holiday 3 times, having an incredible work-life balance. Yes, working hard sometimes, but I have so much more energy for it. Like I'm so available for work that energizes me. And of course, you need to watch it. Like, I think a couple of times over those 2 months, I worked to midnight, or once I worked to 1 in the morning, because I was on a roll and I took a conscious decision. I was like in flow. It's like I needed to work that amount of time. I didn't need to get the task done because I wanted to feel clear the next day. And that next day, instead of getting up for 5 a.m., just having 4 hours sleep and getting up for 5 a.m. run, which I probably would have done in the past, I slept in. Like I just, scheduled my life around it, and it felt great. And but it's not a habit I'm going to repeat. I really don't want to do it. But if anything, I rewound the clock, and I thought, like, how did I end up in that position? I should always be in a place where I've got plenty of capacity and time, like I feel like I do just now. So yeah. Yeah, the overall feeling the first couple of months, just astounding, really astounding to me, for all those months of fear that I had about, could I earn money, full stop? Could it be a viable business, full stop? Going through the experience with my wife as well, and we're always celebrating whenever a sale comes in, whenever someone buys anything, whether it's a donation, whether it's a for the live streams, whether it's and it's not just money, right? It's when people, are sharing, podcasts or getting a podcast guest on, or just all these things I'm constantly celebrating, and with my family in there. I think everyone's really pleasantly surprised and excited. And finally, I'd like to thank you. Chances are, if you're watching this, you know me, you've made it 50 minutes in, and you've learned a bit more about the depth of what I've been going through in the last couple of months. And thank you so much for your love and support. I feel that many of my customers are really going the extra mile for me and my family. And some of you have even taken the time to give me advice and, suggestions for services and suggestions for earning money. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for your love and support. Without you, I wouldn't be living my dream life now, and doing it with confidence, and doing it from a place that feels like, or knowing that this is my life now, this is my business, and that it feels like my dream life. It feels like the thing that I really want to do, and that my family absolutely want to do. Like they love the three holidays, and I can also just take time out. I can just book time in my calendar when I want to do things in my life, like 2-3 hours, half a day, whatever it is. And then all the client sessions and the deadlines, I work around that. And that feels phenomenal. And finally, physically, how do I feel? There's been periods I felt tired. Overall, I feel way more energized. I don't feel like there's energy drains. And whenever there is an energy drain on something and it feels out of alignment, I'm quick to act and bring it to a conclusion, whatever the action is. And I would say some of the next things for me physically in my body are focusing on diet. That's gradually definitely getting better. I mean, my diet, I like pescatarian, so like a vegetarian, but I eat fish. My Achilles heel is snacks, and it's definitely getting better. And my exercise routine as well. I'm always running 5 days a week, about 4 or 5 miles. My gym and yoga and meditation, that's all been good, but it's not been totally consistent. As in the latter points, always the run always happens, and some gym and meditation always happens. But I'd still like to spend about another 30 minutes, that consistent pattern each day, and just being aware of also when I'm pushing my body too much. If I'm feeling physically tired, to then push my body with exercise isn't always the best thing. And balancing out a lot of the exercise I'm doing with things like, cutting the grass or whatever. Oh, and finally, things like my other hobbies. Music, just been phenomenal. Got 2 collaborations I'm working on just now. I just did the first draft of the first collaboration. They're super fun. Music is currently entirely for fun. And what else? Doing campervan geek stuff. I just love it. I found my hobbies, I've had to in some respects separate them as being hobbies, so that when I'm wanting to switch off from work, because my work used to be a hobby as well, now I book time in my calendar each day, at least an hour or two. And if it's going on my skateboard, or going for a walk in nature, going for dog walks, this is my alone time, me doing things. And campervan electrics, I'm such a geek, solar and off-grid stuff, I just love it. And this trip, we've got there's limited electricity in the campsite, in that you have to pay more for more. So I think over £5. So I've been trying to use as much as we can from our solar panels from the campervan, and using the campervan most of the time, which is fantastic to try. And I mean, as I keep saying to my wife, I'm sure I'm boring to death about it. It's just it's just for fun. Like I just love geeking out about it. Um, yeah, so that's me. Excited for August is already off to a great start, and excited for all the trainings and sessions and more in-person stuff coming up. And I'm sure there'll be some exploration into some new things. Other things I'm thinking of are retreats, events, getting groups together. That's definitely all on the cards. Well, I didn't expect it to take an hour, but it's just been phenomenal. And we did 2 months, so maybe it'll be half an hour for August. We'll wait and see. So if this is John in the future watching this, hello John from the future, or in the future, this is John from the past. And if you're watching this, if you're interested in any of my services, please do visit johnbinnie.com, or you can just leave a comment on this video, or message me or email me, and I'd love to hear from you and see how I can best serve. Thank you so much, everyone. So grateful for everyone, and I'm sending so much love from our vacation holiday in England. Take care. Sending love.